You're listening to the AmWritingFantasy podcast. In today's publishing landscape, you can reach fans all over the world. Query letters are a thing of the past. You don't even need a literary agent. There is nothing standing in the way of making a living from writing. Join two best-selling authors who have self-published more than 20 books between them. Now, on to the show with your hosts, Autumn Burt and Jesper Schmidt.
Hello, I'm Jesper.
And I'm Autumn.
This is episode 123 of the AmWritingFantasy podcast. And today we are going to run one of our monthly, not so serious episodes. We are going to dive into our alternating list, that's what I'm trying to say, of the worst and or scariest fantasy worlds that we can think of. So this should probably be a good one.
It should be. I had some fun doing some research, finding some books I'm not sure if I want to read, but just to get inspiration. But yeah, it was actually a really fun one to come up with a list. So we'll have to see. I still appreciate Dominic's comment that I always win. So well,
that's the stuff we don't talk. And I think we already know who's going to win this one, so
apparently
we don't need to
does.
talk. Well, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I figured that comment would make you go do like extra work on this one, so...
Actually, it was in the back of my mind when I made my list. I was like, I have to come up with something good today.
yeah. I figured, so we'll have to see. I definitely have a surprise for you at number one where I pulled it from, so we'll have to...
Oh no, it's already sounds like, oh no. Oh no, it must be a bad thing. Yeah, I'm sure.
Don't worry. I don't want you to stress. No, we have to get... That's like at the end. That's in 40 minutes, so... Don't worry about it. You don't want to stress for the next 40 minutes.
I probably can't let it go.
You have more of a I thought I was a competitor until I met you, and you have much more of a competition edge. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. I like to compete, to be honest. But,
yeah.
And, well, I can at least pretend to be a sore loser. I think normally I'm not, but I like to play the game here.
You have to be a good example to the kids you referee and the adults you referee. Sometimes it sounds like.
Yeah, last weekend I handed out 3 yellow cards for people who was doing dissent, complaining about things. So, yeah, well, but that's a nice thing. There I don't have to be a sore loser. If they disagree with me, I can just give them the yellow card. End of story.
You do not have that power over me. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. Yeah, I think I said to my wife at some point that I would love it if it was possible, in business meetings to bring my yellow and red cards and just you're out. Bye-bye. That would be so much easier.
That would be pretty, as a mediator or something, that'd be fantastic. Nope. Here's your card. You got 2. You're out. Time out. Yeah. Go sit out for 5 minutes. And that would change the dynamics of things so much.
It would. But I think a lot of people wouldn't like you either. But that's a different story.
You'd probably have to work for an independent agency where they can't fire you.
Yeah, well, that's that moron again with all the cards in his pocket. What the hell is he doing here?
I was like, oh no, it's another meeting today.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But besides refereeing, how are things over on your side of the Atlantic?
Oh, it's pretty good. My sons were actually going to go to the hairdresser today for the first time in months due to
exciting.
Corona lockdown. Yeah, it was a sign. I was very jealous, but then it just got worse because then the hairdresser canceled.
Oh no!
It was so frustrating. My older son, he was really annoyed by it. Yeah. I don't know, like everybody else, I guess, we're like hair monsters walking around here at home.
Hey, I like my long hair. It took a couple years to grow this back out.
It's different for you. It's not the same as...
Well, go for the Viking look, braids and some long... It'd be fine.
Yeah,
it's your heritage.
I'm not so convinced about that.
It's your heritage. You need to go for it.
Yeah, that is true. But actually, over the weekend as well, just to tell you that I watched one of the movies that you recommended.
Oh, really? Which one?
I watched the Yin Yang Master on Netflix.
Oh, excellent. What did you think? You didn't even say.
No, I didn't. That was on purpose.
Holding out.
I always want to hold out on stuff until we record a podcast.
Of course. I'm sensing a trend.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. No, I think it was good.
Yeah.
I liked I'm not gonna do any spoilers here, but I liked, as you said as well, that you don't quite see the ending coming.
Oh,
And,
I didn't
like
think
that.
the setup was like, oh, there's no way out of. Oh, really? That makes so much sense. It's perfect. So that one is much better than the other one that's also the Yin Yang Masters, but
I haven't watched that one yet.
That one's not quite as good. And like I
okay.
said, especially for the one you just watched, ferret demons. Oh my god, I want a ferret demon. So I might technically have one if you've seen my dog, but they're so cute. Anyway, they were awesome.
Yeah, so if any listeners out there, if you wanna watch it is a fantasy movie.
It is. And quite
it
a good
is
one.
Chinese, but I don't mind it being in Chinese, but maybe some people do. I don't know. But it's called The Yin Yang Master, and it's on Netflix. So if you want to check that out, then I suggest you do. It's a bit different in many ways. You know, it has almost like a humor side to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a bit, it's not silly at all, but it is a bit like some of the creatures is a bit like, I almost feel like they put in there as a comical relief.
Come on, the turtles?
Indeed. But they're also pretty cool. I mean, it is very fantasy heavy, at least. So
very fantasy heavy, very good CGI, very good acting, and a story that has a twist at the end that you don't see coming. You don't see how it's going to work out. I thought it was a fantastic storytelling and fun event. If it was a book, I totally would have read it. So it was excellent.
Yeah. I think it's based off a book.
Yeah.
No. I read actually the first movie, the one I just watched, Yin Yang Master. That's actually based off a video game.
Okay.
And then the other one that you just mentioned, Eternity, Yin Yang Master Eternity or something I think it's called. Yeah. That's based off the book.
Okay.
And that one, as I have not watched the second one, the Eternity one yet, but as far as I read, that one is a bit more dark, whereas this one, Yin Yang Master, is a bit more lighthearted.
Yes, definitely. That sounds very correct.
Yeah, okay. But how about you? You had a bit of a bumpy ride this week.
Yes. That seems to be, as long as it doesn't go back to whatever month I said that I felt like I was cursed. I think that was February, but as long as it doesn't go that way, we should be all right. But it's been a little bit of a hiccup. My vaccine was canceled at the last minute, so now I don't get vaccinated until May because they changed the Johnson & Johnson has some side effects, which I have to admit I would probably be right in the target potentials for side effects. So, maybe it was a good thing, but it's been one of those weeks where, feel like the rug is pulled out of you from under you with every step. So at this point, I'm just expecting someone to push me off a cliff. And
please stay away from cliffs.
Yes, or just send me a parachute, or Mary Poppins will have an umbrella. Something. I need a safety net this week, but we'll get through it. And I will not. Maybe it's because it happens to be my birthday week, so maybe it's just, fate. It's rubbing it in.
Oh, Jesus.
So I will ignore that. I've been hoping for a good week. I'm planning for a good birthday, but oddly enough, the weather here has been gorgeous in the 60s, sunny, just lovely, except for, oddly enough, the day of my birthday, it's supposed to snow 7 inches.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh my god. It's also jinxed.
And rain, so I was going to go out to a lovely restaurant, where I actually have a gift certificate. I mean, it was going to be perfect. And now I'm just thinking, well, shoot, I'm just going to get cheesecake and wine.
Cheesecake and wine.
Call it good. Maybe we'll do hot chocolate and rum and cheesecake. I don't know.
And a Netflix movie or something.
And a Netflix movie and just get it over with.
Yeah.
But that's my week. Moving on.
Oh, so you just want to move on?
I want to move on. Let's go on.
A week on the internet with the AmWritingFantasy podcast.
Okay, it took a long time for Audible to accept the files
Finally?
But I am pleased to announce that the audiobook version of our guidebook on how to develop story ideas is now finally available.
That's only been
my God.
4 or 5 months. Oh my gosh.
I think more than that. I think it took half a year.
Oh, 6 months. Oh, that is insane. I'm so excited though. You didn't tell me this.
No, I didn't.
Communication. We're running a business. I'm gonna send you back for training.
Well, I thought it's excellent communication. I'm telling you right now.
Well, that is exciting. So what are we going to do to celebrate having our book finally approved as an audiobook?
That I don't know. But a celebration, that's the part I don't know how to do. I need more training on how to celebrate. But maybe because I have an audio sample prepared, but maybe you could just remind people what this book is about, and then afterwards I can just play a short sample right here now.
Been 6 months and a week of heck, and you want me to
you don't even remember yourself what it's about.
It's a story ideas. No, so I do remember that. It is full of tips and ideas on developing our story ideas and how to generate different ways of coming up with ideas and getting that flowing. It's almost like creating a muscle memory of how do you come up with ideas and develop that. It's a whole different skill set. So it's all about that. And I think I did okay, and I'm going to stop speaking now.
Are you afraid you're going to jinx it?
Yes, definitely. Let me touch the computer, it'll go black.
Okay, so I have a short sample lined up here, just so that for listeners, so you can hear what it sounds like. It's a bit more than a minute in length, so lean back and just listen to it here. And of course, listener, if you're not too interested in this book, just use your podcast app to skip ahead a minute or something. But here we go.
We don't need to understand how our brains produce ideas. We need only to acknowledge that they do. It's not magic. Generating story ideas isn't a single event, but a creative process that involves collecting input from our environment and experiences to transform those loose fragments into a coherent whole. While we said that most original ideas have already been conceived, we also mentioned how inspiration is at the heart of combining old elements into something new. The greatest novel is yet to be written, and when that happens, we'll still be able to say, the greatest novel is yet to be written. Every idea in the world is waiting to be done again, with a new spin or an unexpected reveal. All it takes is to understand how to open our minds and allow inspiration to hit home. The more we experience, the more material we have available to interrelate and create new combinations from, the better. For instance, when J.K. Rowling came up with the idea for Harry Potter, she was stuck on a train from Manchester to London King's Cross. Or how about Suzanne Collins? She got the idea for the Hunger Games when channel surfing between reality TV and actual war coverage from Iraq. The point is that story ideas are all around us. We need to train our brains to look for them, and then note them down as soon as they come into existence. In a sense, it becomes a simple matter of collecting enough input from your environment and putting those ideas through the brainstorming process. This will lead you to the perfect premise for your story.
So I really like the narrator here, don't you, Autumn?
He's got a very soothing, nice, it's a friendly voice. I can listen to that one all day.
Yeah, I really like it. So we've placed a link in the show notes from where you can find this audiobook. And if you prefer an ebook version or a paperback, that's found via that same link as well. And a little secret for our listeners here is that the ebook version of this book is actually available for free. Because if you buy the plotting guide, and we'll also put a link to that one in the show notes as well. But if you buy the plotting guide, inside you will actually find a link which will give you this story idea book for free. Of course, the ebook version of it. The audiobook version you can't get for free, unfortunately. And I was actually thinking as well, Autumn, that, and of course, I'm communicating this to you now, okay?
Very well noted, okay.
Yeah, because I'm good at communication skills here. What if we said that the first 5 people who leave a review of this podcast will get a free audiobook?
I think that's brilliant. I love giving rewards to listeners, so let's do it. We'll have to be on the spot and checking times, but yeah, first 5 who leave a review.
Yeah, so we'll do it like this. If you like the podcast, leave a rating and review right now, and we're going to go first come, first served, meaning it is when we receive your information about the review left. So you'll leave your rating, leave your review, then go to AmWritingFantasy.com and use the contact form on there and send us a link or a screenshot of the review you just left. And the first 5 emails we get, and that's the timestamp in our inbox, the first 5 we get, we will get back to those 5 people with a free download code for this audiobook. So don't delay. If you wait too long, you'll be too late. So, yeah, go ahead and leave a review, and we'll give you a free audiobook.
Sounds
fantastic.
That's
pretty cool.
I think that's really cool. And that's a way of celebrating. We got an audiobook. Yay!
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Inadvertently.
You managed to celebrate.
We just celebrated something I didn't even notice myself. That's how bad I am.
We're going to work on that.
And on to today's topic.
I have a feeling that we are accidentally going to expire some people today when we go through our list, Autumn.
Probably. I would think so. I definitely chose 1 or 2 worlds where I think I would probably not make it. Well, definitely not to teenage years, but if I was dropped in as an adult, I'd probably have a few hours to live, so. Seems to be my week.
Maybe not inspire people in the way that they're going to copy the actual things that we say, but maybe some of the stuff we say, maybe some people feel like I can actually use a small part of that or an element of that and change it around to something else. And I think, you know, if that happens to some of the listeners, please steal away. Just take whatever we say and use it. I don't care. You can steal all you want from this podcast episode. And then, of course, at the end, we'll have to conclude a winner, even though we might actually do that in 2 seconds. That's probably predetermined, but...
Probably. Knowing how my week is going, sure. I have no doubt. I'm expecting the podcast to die at any second.
So no, please don't jinx it. I know your Fey blood will have... it has quite an effect on electronics.
It does. It does. That's why I step back.
Yeah, don't touch the computer, please. Before we get started, I came across a very funny comment on the internet that I just thought I would share as well.
Okay.
It doesn't really fit into the list of 5, but it was just such a funny comment that I thought it was good. There was a question on the internet posted about which was the worst fantasy world to live in for a normal person.
Okay.
And so it doesn't quite fit with our lists here, but somebody's answer to this question was, well, I think it would be becoming a volunteer firefighter in King's Landing.
Oh, jeez. That is a pretty good comment, but
that's a pretty bad job to have.
That is a pretty bad job. That's kind of harsh.
So I don't know. That made me laugh. So I wanted to share that.
I'm sure you'll get a few chuckles who are listening. So that is a very good one. But I have to admit, like I said, we both made a point not to steal from works because we don't want to say that we think this world is horrible and it's like your favorite story. So we try to come up with our own, and I think that's a way to do it. But getting some inspiration, like reading some comments and stuff online, and there were some really funny comments, and there were some things that were... And I really did find like one that was like worst worlds, and there was a whole setup about a cursed town that I'm like, this is really would be an interesting story, and it sounds creepy. And what you start bookmarking some of these?
So it was actually not bad at all.
Yeah, no, it was more like it's the worst world. Like you would not want to be in that world actually. Okay. And I was like, oh, that must have been a very riveting story. So, worst worlds can be very inspiring.
That's true. Yeah. I don't think that's not quite the way I've gone with my list, to be honest. It's
not quite mine either.
It's not like inspiring at all, I think.
I went with potential for death, horrifying, and yeah, that's about where I went.
Yeah, I tried to put a slightly different angle on most of mine, to be honest, but because I had to try to, now that I say that, the problem is sometimes when you try to be too unique, then it falls apart.
That's true.
So now I'm losing confidence in my list already.
Excellent.
No, that's not good.
I am ready to begin now.
I think you're playing mind tricks on me.
I need a win this week. Come on, it's my birthday week.
See, this is mind tricks. This is like Jedi powers you're using on me. Like
I'm Faye.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's just not fair.
I can't deny my birthright.
Okay, well, I almost feel like I want you to start because I want to hear if you start out really strong, then I'm getting really nervous, but it could settle my nerves a bit if the first one you come up with is like, yeah, it's okay. Then I'll feel better already.
Well, my first one will make you feel better because it was kind of, I actually changed it from something incredibly boring because I went with stories that would create worlds that would create a horrible story, I guess is really the theme of mine.
Yes.
And so that's what I wanted. But the first one is kind of, I just had to put it in there. And I have a reason, and I'll let you see if you can guess, because it's something I think you would suspect knowing me and also knowing something that's true to your heart as well. So
oh no, now you're setting me up for failure. So if I can't guess it, then it makes me look like you should have known this.
We'll see. We've already even talked about it today. So you ready for my number one? Well, my number 5, not the worst world. We're going to build up to
number
that one.
5, yes.
My number 5.
Okay.
So this is a world where the water has been turned to undrinkable muck full of chemicals that will slowly poison you. Any animals that live in it are mutated and inedible that live in the water. The soil has been contaminated so much that you are lucky to grow crops, and even if you could, the sulfuric rain will most likely destroy them. If it rains at all, it might be a drought year. Or it might be an acidic hurricane full of tornadoes just comes and wipes out everything. Most animals have been killed off due to the pollutants. The landscape is a wasteland of destroyed cities, burnt husks of buildings, massive contamination from the number of dead bodies, trash, and leaked chemicals, where any humans are running about like savage cannibals in the cities. So your best bet to live at all is in the countryside. If you are lucky to find any areas with existing forest and half-decent soils, and of course, food is scarce, possibly contaminated, but if you band together at all with other humans to eke out an existence here, they may look at you as a potential food source. So I do know there are dystopian stories that kind of had this world, but can you guess why this, to me, is one of the worst, scariest worlds I can possibly imagine, even though it's number 5 on my list? Before we started,
a hint.
Before we started talking and recording today, we were talking almost about this topic when you were walking on the coast.
With people polluting stuff and whatnot.
It's based on what my absolute terrifying vision of what could happen to this world and what we're doing to it. And
right, yeah, in that sense.
I had to put this one in there.
Right,
so
no.
This is the conservation side of me going, just no. So
yeah, this is like a fast forwarding 500 years or something, and then see what you get up what you end up with.
I'm afraid it's fast forwarding like 30 years.
3 years. Oh my god. Yeah, I hope not.
I said 30, but yeah, there are days I'm terrified to see what we're gonna wake up to tomorrow. So
no, that's true. So, yes, just yesterday it was sunshine here, fine weather, and then like 10 minutes later it got all cloudy and it started snowing. And I was looking at Linda, what happened here? It's just like the climate is so fucked up. It's incredible. It is really bad.
All right, so hopefully that one eased you into the competition.
Yes, maybe. I don't know if I feel better, but I don't feel worse either. So
okay,
it was okay.
That's a win.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, let's hear your number 5.
Okay, so my number 5 is I'm sort of in the same vein as you, meaning that I was trying to think of something that would be the worst nightmare from a writer's perspective.
Okay.
So imagine that you have created this wonderful fantasy world, and you have created your characters.
Mm-hmm.
You've written the first chapter, and now, at some point during your world building, you thought that readers wanted something different, something that they have never seen before. So you decided that in this world, it would rain once every day. Okay?
Okay.
So far, so good. Yeah?
That's fine.
Doesn't sound too bad.
No, it sounds like Costa Rica, actually. It was like every day at 2:00, someone turned on a faucet and it rained.
That's where I got it from. No,
Okay.
just kidding. But the thing is that every time it rains, everyone changes personality.
Oh.
So every day that passes, your characters will now become somebody else.
Oh,
and they will want something else. They don't remember what they were doing or why. They're just on a new mission with new wants and motivations all of a sudden. So imagine what a mess this novel will be. Every single chapter, the character is somebody new, and there's no coherent overlap in anything that they're doing. No consistency.
Story arc? What's a story arc?
Yeah,
what's a character arc? No,
it's just random chapters of a person's life that goes nowhere.
That sounds
endlessly.
Horrible.
And then you can go for 150,000 words like that.
I don't know if I could read 150,000. I can imagine being the editor just going, no. Yeah. That is.
But it's unique world building. No, I promise you, nobody has seen it before.
No, I agree with you, and there might be a reason for that.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Maybe everybody else was just not as much of a genius to come up with something like this.
As a writer, that one is absolutely horrifying. You're right. It would be just a bunch of short stories that begin and end every 24 hours or so. Just be
yes, exactly. Yeah.
You could, so you could come up with the character that is doing its darndest, like wondering if it's maybe is more aware, and maybe is it because you get wet and trying to hide from the rain and maintain who they are? Or do you have past lives, like memories of flickers of things that you might have been doing before? See, you could plot this. Now
you're destroying it. It was a bad idea, and now you're starting to make it better and making it work. And that's not the point. It's a bad list, this one. It's not The point is not to make it work.
Not to say I could write a story in this world. All right, fine. No, it's horrible. There you go.
I'm not convinced that was very sincere.
Okay. You ready for my number 4?
Okay.
You want to move on? All right. So this one I actually named. I call it Thou Shalt Not.
Okay, that sounds serious.
Yes, it's very serious. This is a very serious world. I would not last here. It's a world that is dominated by a very strict religion, or if you're futuristic tech, a very strict AI, where the priest or AI can read thoughts. So if you are disobey, or if you even think about disobeying, you just kill. You're immediately killed. They just come up and go boom. So devotion is absolute. Or compliance is absolute. And that's where I'm saying if I was in this world, it would be like 5 minutes and so like, you're out of here. So I'm just not good at obeying things. I swear I was a nice teenager. It's just been since then. So yeah, that's why I call it Thou Shalt Not, because this world, I wouldn't last long. And I can't.
No, and if they can read your thoughts, then nobody can avoid thinking something against the rules once in a while. Yeah. It's impossible. I mean, everybody would die in this world. There would be nobody left.
Just the AI or the priest.
Just the AIs, yeah.
I agree. And that's what, by making it so strict that even your thoughts can get you killed, that it just writing a story, what are you going to do? All these robots, like people just... thinking happy thoughts or listening to like constant music to keep themselves like psyched. It's just, you want to write about the rebel. You want to write about the person who's going to find a way out of this trick. But
but then if you had, and I'm gonna destroy yours too. So if you have the character who is actually the only one whose mind they cannot read, and he's trying to battle the powers that be and trying to figure out how he can free the rest of the people from this sort of mind control.
Yes.
I can write that story. It's not a problem.
Problem. As long as you can throw in the one person that they can't read, you'd be all set. But if it's 100%, they can read all your thoughts. And you're grown from the time you're a child, you were like, brought up to follow this way.
What if it's one of the AIs who is gonna battle it?
Oh, I like that one. There you go. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, good. So if you are making my bad ideas into good ones, I'm going to make your bad ideas into good ones as well.
Fine.
If that's the way you want it.
Yeah. Be that way.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 4. Yes. And this one might be quite interesting for the writer, I think. Okay. But maybe the reader will actually hate you for it.
Oh, excellent.
So look forward to some 1-star reviews coming your way.
I wonder if someone would ever write a book just to get 1 star. Start up a pen name and like, I want to write trash. You're going to hate
just the worst stuff I can think of.
That'd be my luck. It'd be the ones that take off. Anyway, go ahead. You're number 4.
Yeah. So this is a setting where it's, let's say, it's mostly like the details that makes it bad, but it's actually the fact that there is no details.
Okay.
So everything is just made up at random as you go.
Oh.
And so it's not so that you make it up as you go, as in like discovery writing, and then you will make it fit into what you've already got. Mm-hmm. This is more like you have to use a random generator on the internet, and whatever it tells you, that's what you have to use as the setting elements.
So if it like spits out umbrella and gumdrop rainstorm, that's what it is.
Then that's what it is. Yeah,
it could be really fun as a writer, but yeah, the readers are going to be like, this makes no sense.
Why did he throw an umbrella at the dragon? That makes no sense. So, yeah. I think readers will be pretty damn frustrated with this kind of world.
No, but I could imagine teaching a writer conference, a writer course, like an in-person one, and it's writer improv. It would be so much fun to teach. Be like, because it is something like storytelling around a campfire. I have, when you do some of those exercises where you have to continue on a story that you pass in the chain. And those can be so much fun. So this is sort of like kind of along those lines. And as a teacher, I want to go do this. As a reader, I would hate your guts.
Yes. It will be like, this is the worst crap I've ever read.
But for a tool on just like developing your author voice and coming up with ideas, it would be a blast.
Yeah, true.
All right. Well, see, I like that one.
Okay. Well, I don't like it, but okay. That's good that you do.
I see a tool. It would be an interesting tool, but yeah, I would never want to publish something that came out of it unless you like developed it for.
But imagine how fast you could write it. Just copy and pasting out of random generators, like in here with that, and then he did, and then next random generating and copy that, paste in. It'll take you like half a day, and then you have a novel.
It would be bizarre. I'm sure someone's going to go do this now and just see what comes up. Dragon and whatever the search term comes up with. There you go. There you are.
Yeah, indeed.
Excellent. All right. So you're ready for my number 3?
Yes.
All right. I named this one too. And it sort of reminds me of your number 5. So I call this one, Now You're Here, Now You're Not.
Okay.
And so this is a world where random wormholes appear without warning. You could be walking down a path and be transported to the top of the mountain or the middle of the ocean or an erupting volcano. And so stories, life would be so chaotic and unpredictable that it would be impossible to actually write a comprehensive story because you would just be walking and poof, you wouldn't be able to be with anyone you love. Your life would be inconsistent. So where yours was your memories were erased, here you are physically, you know who you are, and you're physically transported, to a cliff.
Yeah, nice. But could you have some sort of limited countermeasure or something.
I'm sure
something
someone
if
must
you
be
run out
working
of
on
it. Yeah, so if you have something like, if you have this substance or whatever it is, and it's very limited in supply, but if you have it, you can basically just walk straight through the wormhole without it taking you anywhere. You just walk through it and keep going wherever you were going already. But if you don't have it, it sucks you up and drops you somewhere else.
I could see that, or I could imagine if you manage to have kids and there are people evolving on this world, eventually evolutionarily someone's going to be able to control where the wormhole goes, or at least start being able to manipulate it slightly. Yes. Wouldn't that be fun? So yeah, as again, you can find your way around it, but at its purest form, before that child is evolved enough to learn that if they're thinking about something, they can direct where the wormhole goes and completely change a society, it would be just a mess to write. I mean, love interest, poof.
She's now in the middle of the ocean.
Yep.
And poof, he's in the volcano.
Yep. Story's over. This is a choose your own adventure gone wrong.
But it would actually also be pretty crazy from let's say you have the one like court mage that knows how to control this, and it's like poof. Well, the arm is at your front gate now. There they are.
There you go. That would be pretty great. And
yeah.
And also, I mean, that's the other thing. So I mentioned that it happens when you're walking. So what if you don't walk? That's what you send them to servants or something. There's definitely ways of playing with this so that it would be much more controlled. And that's what you need to be able to develop a story, is having control of things. But it's the minute things go completely random. Yeah, good luck writing that. That's just mean.
True. Yes. Okay, so
your number 3.
For my number 3, I sort of decided that to make my list a winning list, I needed to also play on some scary ones.
Oh, excellent.
So number 3 and number 2 is scary ones rather than terrible ones or bad ones.
Okay.
And I felt like with 2 of those on my list, it's going to be really strong.
Okay. We'll
and
see.
What better way to do that than picking some real-world locations to serve as inspiration for story settings?
Okay.
So when things are based off of reality, then it becomes a bit more scary.
That's true. That's very, very true.
Here in the Nordics, actually in Norway to be precise, you will find a place known as Akershouse Fortress.
Oh, that already sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it is as it sounds. It's a medieval castle, basically. And it's actually also used as the mysterious setting for the fiction novel The Snowman, which is written by Jo Nesbø. If you know him, it's a pretty well-known Norwegian author. But the thing is that many locals actually report that this place is haunted.
Excellent.
So the most famous residents today are the ghosts of a woman and a demon dog that wanders the castle grounds.
Oh, demon dogs.
Yeah. So imagine a story where you are trapped inside this castle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be pretty damn horrific.
Though, if a real story, because we both have watched those Haunting of Hill House and
true.
The Haunting of something Blind Manor? I can't remember the word.
Yes, correct.
So we've both watched those, and yes, horror stories, haunting stories are definitely spine-tingling, especially when it's based on real events. So this could be it's not a terrifying one to write in. I think that'd be a fun story to write.
Yes. Yeah. But it's a terrifying setting.
It is a terrifying. And that I did notice where so many people would say, yes, it sounds like a great story to write, but we're talking like Worst World. If this is a real thing, that's terrifying. You don't want to live in even Game of Thrones. I mean, you have to be evil to live, to survive. If you're a good person, you are dead in 2 days. So these are not places you want to really live. But yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah.
So that was my number 3.
I like that. This sounds like it's going to be on my must-visit list when I come over to see you.
Oh yeah. Well, it's in Norway, not in Denmark. But anyway, it's
it's still closer to you than it is to me. So
I guess it is. Yes, technically, you could say that.
So it's that side of the world. It's good. Oh, excellent. I like that. I used to read real haunting stories when I was a teenager. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready for my number 2?
Yes.
All right. This one I named Poison. So this is a world where the soil is formed from uranium. So it's not such a high level that you would die instantly if you found yourself there, but high enough that it quickly starts affecting your DNA. So lumps will form across your skin as massive cancers form under your lymph nodes. Your lungs will fill with cancer cells so that you have a hard time breathing. The marrow of your bones is altered, weakening the structure so that you could just break your leg or your toes as you're walking. Your hair will start to fall out. Your skin turns to boils and kind of like just sloughs off your body.
Oh my God.
Every moment is excruciatingly pain-filled until you finally die with relief. So that's Poison. Have fun writing a story set there.
Well, I can see that there's a common trend here. Everyone you come up with is something like nobody will survive. It's impossible to live in this settings.
It's a theme. If your characters are dying because of the world, it's not going to be a really interesting story.
Or maybe when you made this list, you had a bad week and you poured it into these settings.
I didn't write this yesterday. No. I write Noble Bright, and the reason I could write Noble Bright is I make lists like this when I have a bad week. Everyone dies, but I won't make it into a story, so don't worry about it.
Okay, if you say so.
Oh, let's hear your number 2.
So my number 2 is one again, a scary one, as I said.
Okay.
And I was thinking, what could make it more scary than number 3? It sort of has to, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to try to see if I could seal the victory with this one.
Oh, okay.
All
I'm really in your number 2, so this is confidence. Because you still have one to go.
Yeah. By number 1, it's obvious who's the winner, so it's lost.
Right.
Like, okay, fine.
Excellent.
So in the Catacombs of Paris, those were used by actually one of my favorite vampire authors, Anne Rice.
Oh, yeah.
And she used it for a coven of vampires in the novel, An Interview with a Vampire. Or Interview with the Vampire, maybe, or a vampire, I can't remember. But either or, people know what I mean.
Yes.
And that's already pretty cool. But what if I told you that the catacombs beneath the city of Paris, there are actual skeletal remains of over 6 million people down there?
I didn't know it was 6 million, but I've seen the walls with the skulls and the bones, and I do like Memento Mori, so I love these little death images and skulls. I should have been a goth, but I never was into goth. But yes, the Memento Mori and the bones down there are so fascinating. I wanted to see them when I was in Paris and never did make it down to the catacombs.
Oh, nice, yeah. But you can actually see the departed stacked on top of each other down there in the catacombs there. But now, I don't want a fantasy setting where it's just about skeletons everywhere. That's sort of a bit boring here. I suppose it might be a bit scary for some, but I don't think it's scary enough.
Okay.
So what if the deceased walked among us, but you don't know who they are? So they act like us, they look like us, but they're not us.
They're not.
So the scary part is that you know that they exist, only you don't know who it is. So it could be one of your friends, it could be your spouse. You don't know.
That would be so
imagining going through life like that.
Not knowing if you're one or the other. That would be
Yeah, and of
really
course
interesting.
they are to no good, right? They're
Yeah.
trying
Oh, yeah.
to get rid of mankind and so what. And you know that they exist, but you don't know who it is.
That would be very interesting. That would be a fun, tension-filled novel to write, I have to admit.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be scary like
Oh,
hell.
if it was real world and like imagining that the coronavirus, the people who were infected were changed somehow, and yeah, if this was real world and you just the impact of getting sick with something was much more devastating. It wasn't just death, but changed you into something like a zombie. I'm not into zombie stories, but something like that. Yeah, that would be, if this was a real thing, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, but even in the zombie stories, it's usually it's the humans who are the scary ones in the zombie stories, not the zombies. Because the humans are so scary because they can come up with all these ingenious ways of trapping and killing people and whatnot. So the zombies, well, they can be scary if there's a lot of them and you're trapped, of course. But humans are much more dangerous.
Oh,
And imagine that if these people were like look like you and act like you, but they're not you, and they want actually to kill you. So just going to grocery shopping, you always have to be concerned if somebody's calling you over. It's like, are they gonna kill me or something?
oh
Or
God.
somebody at the side of the road, you come across a car has like the typical trope of a punctured tire,
Oh,
and they're like, "Can
right.
you help me?" No, hell no, I will not help you. Bye bye.
So much for like good Samaritans, right?
Yeah, they don't exist in this setting, I think.
Oh, I like that. That would be very. I would not want to live there. I wouldn't be able to trust you. This would be horrible. No,
Yeah.
can't do that. All right. So, are you ready for my number one? This one's a bit of a surprise, actually.
I hope it's not too good, but yes, I'm ready.
This one also has a name, so it's called The Black Marsh and the Bowl of Ash, which both exist on the coast of storms. And I know these so intimately because this one, I know we said we wouldn't pull from anyone else's novel, but I did
Right.
pull from my novel. So this is from my epic
Oh.
fantasy series, my Rise of the Fifth Order. And I think they go back to it in Games of Fire. But so this is mine. So no stealing this one, but if you want to come visit, talk to me. We'll work it out. So it's a difficult place. I never would want to visit here, and it was actually difficult to write about because it's so hard not to have your characters die. So this
Right.
one, characters mostly survived. So first, this is the Coast of Storms, which is similar to the Eternal Storm, if you've heard of that in Venezuela, whereas the Catacombs River meets Lake Maracaibo. So there's an average of 260 storm days a year. So it's like got lightning there all the time. That inspired the Coast of Storms in my novels. And it's always pitch black, broken only by lightning and a lot of rain. So if you're outside of the two main cities, you are in a landscape you can barely see. It's most likely you're going to be soaking wet. You're walking through muck and mud. And to make it even more fun, because I like fun, thinking as an ecologist, any plants that are in this area can't photosynthesize. They would be dormant, waiting for the 1 or 2 days of sunlight where they can suddenly reproduce and grow leaves and all the other stuff. Or they're going to find energy and a food source in other means. So most of the plants are actually carnivores. So giant, think Venus flytraps, flycatchers, strangling vines with thorns that suck your blood. So,
Right.
The plants are going to kill you. So you can then imagine what kind of insects and animals eat plants that the plants can already eat you. So you probably don't want to run into any of the creatures that live there. What makes it even more fun, because you know me and I love really fun fantasy settings, is if you have magic, you can't use it in the Black Marsh. And that is because most of the area is littered with bones of creatures that the bones themselves don't allow magic. So they're like nullifying bones, which works out quite well occasionally in the story. But the problem is, why would that adaptation of animals having bones that repel magic happen? Well, because there's an apex predator that eats magic. So if you can actually save yourself using magic from these like kind of carnivorous plants, you're going to be attracting something that is going to come and eat you, like a pack of velociraptors. It kind of reminds me of. They will just hunt
Nice.
you down and eat you. So Yeah, I have I send my favorite characters in there. It's just me. So mean. It was really hard to shove them into this landscape and hope that they came out the other side, because it was very desperately needed that they go in there. But yeah, so that's my Black Marsh. It's quite a place.
Nice, I like that one.
Yes. It's quite fun to try to get your characters out of a pickle, because if they can use magic, they shouldn't, and most likely they can't, and they're fighting things when they're used to being trained with magic. They're suddenly got to use swords and knives. Good luck to you.
No, but that's exactly where you want to have your characters, in situations where in the beginning as an author you don't even know how to get them out of it. But then if you work hard at it to find a way for them to get out of it, it'll come across as very strong reasoning and a very good logic. So yeah, that's
well,
pretty
thank you. I'm glad you liked my number one.
I did, but I also feel it's cheating, because you took your own, so I think you're already disqualified, and I've already won. But,
me.
Yes.
I will trust the listeners to decide if I was disqualified.
Okay, but I don't want to hear from Dominic. I don't care what he said. I'm just kidding, Dominic, if you're listening.
All right, well, my gauntlet is tossed down. What is your number one?
Okay, so this one is really bad, like bad in an annoying way.
Okay.
So I guess if you read it as a humorous book, then maybe it would be okay. But that's only until you realize that it was actually intended to be taken seriously. then it'll just be annoying. This is a world where we are bringing to life the most hated cliches that exists. So let me share some with you that exist in this world. Like, you have the fact that there is only one single way to defeat the bad guy. Cannot be done in any other way. Only that one way. That's the only way to do it.
Okay.
You have everything in the world, with every place and every item is very long and hard to pronounce fantasy names.
Oh no.
And the heroes can, of course, also easily defeat highly trained warriors in combat.
Even though they're
no
novices?
problem. That's something you just do.
Okay, excellent.
And the mages are always wiggling their eyebrows. And I can add some more if you want, like villains who are apparently just evil because they're evil.
They were born that way.
Or how about everything that happens because a prophecy foretold it?
Yay!
I think that would be a pretty damn annoying fantasy world to read.
It would be a horrible one to read. It would be, I think, even a boring one to write in, but yeah, that would be just... I couldn't imagine going through a whole book of all the tropes, every single cliche you could throw in there, and just go to town with it.
Yeah, if you didn't take it seriously and you just made it like very humoristic, that could work. But if you're trying to write like an epic fantasy and you're stuffing all this in there, it's going to be a nightmare to read.
It's one of those ones where if it's a role-playing game, it might be a fun one to be in, because you can just decimate your competition. You are the hero, and therefore you will get to the end and you'll get the crown. You'll defeat it's like one of those ones when you're having a bad week, you just want to play that role-playing game because you're going to smash everyone. But to sit there and actually read a novel like 150,000 words with mages wiggling their eyebrows and women in chainmail bikinis, all the women have to have chainmail.
Yeah, of course. Yes, that is there as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. And every time a woman enters the room, you'll have like full paragraph describing her upper body in detail. It's like there's no reason for it. It's just like a long description of that. It's just like... And then probably a very nasty old man mage sitting in the corner wiggling his brows at it. Something really nasty like that.
Yeah. Oh, let's just go back to the 1980s.
Oh my God.
We'll go and read one of those He-Mans or something.
Yeah.
That's painful. That is a pretty painful one, I have to admit. I am actually impressed that besides slightly with the rain versus my wormholes having a slight kind of tendency to each other. We were completely different again for this list. That's pretty impressive for Worst Worlds.
There was actually almost no overlap in these ones at all.
Very
we
good.
did have some in the quite far back now, I guess, in terms of episodes, but we did have at some point where our list had a lot of overlap, but not anymore.
Not anymore. We seem to have gone away from them. I also think our lists were longer than I think they might have been 10, and now we're just, now we just choose the cream of the crop of 5.
Yeah. It's like the best of the best.
That's right. Well, I have to admit, some of your stories I think would be absolutely fun, but your number 1 would be, except for a role-playing game, I just could not read that or write in that. I would just be, unless it was a Shrek-ish spoof, I couldn't do it, but it would be a fun spoof. It would be fun to write comedic fantasy one day. I could get into that.
Maybe. Yeah, I liked your AI thing. To be honest, I quite liked that one.
So I won. Thank you. That's excellent.
I didn't say that. I just said I liked it because, you have to, again, communication skills here, Autumn. Before you deliver bad news, you give a good news.
Oh,
right? So you first say, I like your AI, and then you said, but I'm sorry that you lost.
No.
Right?
I'm leaving that up to the listener. I'm sorry. Neither of us are God in this list, or if we are, we're equally powerful.
Really? I thought I was the one deciding who won. Okay, well, I guess we'll leave it for the listener. So let us know who you think had the best list or worst list, depending on how you looked at it.
And don't forget to go fill out a review and then go over to AmWritingFantasy.com and send us a screenshot or a link through the contact form. And if you're one of the first 5, we will get you an audiobook.
Okay, so next Monday we are going to discuss if social media activities actually helps authors to sell books or if it's actually just a waste of time.
If you like what you just heard, there's a few things you can do to support the Am Writing Fantasy Podcast. Please tell a fellow author about the show and visit us at Apple Podcast and leave a rating and review. You can also join Autumn and Jesper on patreon.com/AmWritingFantasy. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get awesome rewards and keep the Am Writing Fantasy Podcast going. Stay safe out there and see you next Monday.